host Rick, and super excited for this today in this episode, and still energized, Rick, from the energy we had in the room last week with the Drizio de la Cruz, and really talking about grit and perseverance. And it was super impactful to see the excitement in the room from the many of the founders that we had in attendance that night.
Man, I mean, I was blown away by just the overall event and, the excitement around just Adrizio and the story. I mean, and I think that so many people resonated with, his story and his journey. And I think it was very inspiring just to hear all of the things that he went through, before, he ultimately was able to sell his company.
Yeah, and so I'm excited to have more events like that in this year and bringing some national speakers in and really helping founders here in our local region and community grow and scale their businesses through just that experience. And so that really takes us to today with a great, inspiring entrepreneur in his own right. Rick, I will kick it to you to kind of give a quick introduction of our guest today.
Yeah, man, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my co I gonna say co classmate, or kind of in winning the vote award and winning Render Capital. It's been amazing to watch Steven's journey as he has come to Louisville and just has been tearing it up over the past year or so. But it gives me no pleasure to introduce to you all Dr. Stevens. What's up, bro? How's it going?
Hey guys, very much pretty well today. Thank you. I'm excited for the invite to join the podcast today and share a little bit about what we're building at Feed Coyote and our progress and everything. So thank you very much.
Man, I really thank you for taking the time today. And before we get into like Feed Coyote and your current business, take me back for a minute, right? What kind of led you? Where did you grow up, and what kind of led you, or what were some of those pivotal moments that kind of led you into entrepreneurship?
Yeah. I grew up in the Caribbean, specifically in Haiti, a beautiful country with great history, great culture, good food, but often really going through a lot of tough situations, tough time where the people are very resilient, and I think that kind of started from there, being raised in that kind of environment. So being an entrepreneur, I think, is something that always been in my blood. So I always wanted to create something of value to help other people, and I'm glad that today I'm in a position to do so. So I think my during my whole life I was being prepared for this moment. So I'm glad that today this dream is becoming a reality.
Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, hearing your story, it's really, exciting and like inspiring just to hear. Could you tell us a little bit, dive a little bit deeper into like your journey? I mean, after talking to Adrizio, he talked about selling guavas, on the
Yes.
corner in Santo Domingo before moving to the States. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey to the States? How old
Yes.
were you when you came and your early,
Yes. Yeah.
ventures here?
For sure. I spent the majority of my life in Haiti, basically. I was born there. I grew up there. I went to high school there. And really, all the value that was instilled in me is basically from being raised in that environment. So I've seen everything. I was there during the earthquake in 2010.
Wow.
In 2010, where it was unfortunate, we lost over 300,000 people in just a little bit over 30 seconds, and that kind of give you a different perspectives on life and how fragile it is, and how you can lose everything in a matter of seconds. So that kind of gave me the purpose that really I needed to live every day with this purpose of creating something of value to help other people to the best of my abilities. And from there, I had the opportunity to move to the state really around 2013, and started off in Miami, Florida. Went to college there, and I kind of moved around a little bit. I think I lived in 7 states in the last 7 years, so it's been quite a journey. So I went from Florida to Alabama to Michigan to North Dakota to Washington State, now Kentucky. It was quite a journey. I think every state shaped my personality in a different way in terms of my experiences and the people that I've met, and the school that I've attended, the kind of studies that I've conducted. So it was quite a journey, and from there, I specifically studied economics because I've always wanted to help other people. So I wanted to understand how economics could help me understand society better and create jobs or create economic development so that I can help my people back in Haiti. So I think that's something that I studied with the right intention. I don't think I've ever wanted to be anything else but an economist.
Mm.
So I have a master's in economics, and then I did a doctorate in business. And from there, I had a chance to work at Microsoft, wonderful company, for many years, different positions. And really, that kind of kickstarted my love for tech. And now I'm using what I've learned in tech to kind of couple my studies in economics with tech so that we can create something to help other people around the world.
Man, I love that. It is fascinating how many times strategy can really take your life and put it into perspective. It really builds something that's really impactful and really give you appreciation. And early on, you mentioned living in 7 different states along your journey
Yeah.
and kind of leading to Kentucky. How did you get out your comfort zone to move from state to state and really learn from each of those destinations? Where we many times we have entrepreneurs or founders who are so tied up in their comfort zones and bubbles that they don't want to leave and get new perspectives. How did you get out
Mhm.
of that, and how did that shape your future as well?
Yeah, I mean, when I moved to the US, I was very intentional. I wanted to explore and get all the opportunities that I could because I was on a mission. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly where I needed to go to get those things. So I started in Miami because that's where my family lives. I had the opportunity there to attend Miami-Dade College. And from there, thankfully, I received a full ride to go to Tuskegee University in Alabama. So that's how I got to Alabama, and it was an amazing school, great history. I've learned a lot there, great people as well. And lucky enough, I would say, when I was a junior in college, I applied to a few PhD programs because I always knew I wanted to have a doctorate. So I was accepted as a junior student, which was impressive to me because back in Haiti, it was not something that I really thought that I could do. I used to see some of my professors that traveled abroad and studied and had higher education, but I never really thought at such a young age I could be accepted into a PhD program. So when that happened, it was just crazy. I was a junior in college and I was accepted into a PhD in economics. So I figured, hey, I need to do this because I was giving that opportunity. So that's how I ended up in Michigan, and I attended Michigan, Western Michigan University, where I studied a PhD in applied economics. And I went all the way there to really realize, hey, maybe I wanted to do something more practical. So as an economist, usually you kind of like a researcher, but I noticed I wanted to be more practical. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So that's when I transitioned now to a doctorate in business, which gave me more of a hands-on approach on business. And then I did that. And then lucky enough, I had the opportunity to get a job at Microsoft because I could speak French and I speak other languages as well. So I got this job to work at Microsoft. At the time, it was called Microsoft Bing Ads. Now it's Microsoft Ads. So I work with people from Canada. So we were doing sales and marketing, and we were kind of exploring that market and helping customers in that region to really take advantage of Microsoft Ads for their businesses. So that's how I ended up moving to Fargo, North Dakota, worked for Microsoft there for a few years, and then got a promotion. And then I was transferred to Seattle, and I worked there for a few more years. And I decided from there that I really wanted now to have that experience in startup and create something that I could use or something that I would be proud of that could help more people on a greater scale. And I decided to launch my own startup, and that's how I ended up in Kentucky.
Oh, wow, man. That's really cool, man. I feel like, I mean, one, getting your PhD early and going to school, or putting that on the back burner and working
Yeah,
first and figuring that whole thing out is something in
yeah,
itself. Just making that choice and figuring out what's the best decision.
yeah.
I think that's a
That was
really
always a
cool.
goal for me. Yeah, I always wanted
Yeah.
to have a PhD before I turned 30, and lucky enough, I was able to do that by 28. So I think I was fortunate, I would say.
Yeah, man. And then, so, I mean, moving into your career, like you're on this awesome trajectory, it seems like you're on an upward trajectory within Microsoft. What unique things did you see in the market? What gave you that feeling that it was time to kind of make the jump, into entrepreneurship, with this great momentum that you had kind of in the corporate world?
Yeah, I mean, throughout my life, I always did freelance gigs, whether it's translations or tutoring in college, economics and statistics. So I've always been exposed to the challenges faced by independent workers. So when I was working at Microsoft, and then I was talking to other folks also that were doing freelancing and small business owners, I realized that this was the time to really create a platform that can alleviate their burden and help them be more productive and also collaborate on projects so that they can increase their earning potential. And I made the jump. We did our market research. I considered my experience as a freelancer and the people that we talked to when we did our customer discovery. And I took the jump, and and since then it's been quite a journey. FeedCoyote has been on trajectory, like moving up very fast. I'm very proud of what we built and how fast we're growing.
Yeah, for the audience who do not know Stevens, go ahead and give us a high level view of Feed Coyote, what you all do, and how your past history helped you create that.
Yeah, Feed Coyote is a global collaboration platform that connects independent workers, such as freelancers, solopreneurs, small business owners, so that they can network, learn from each other, and primarily collaborate on projects so that they can make more money together. Because the problem here is freelancers, they have a lot of skill sets that they usually use on their own to, work on projects, source clients, and all that. But usually they work in silos, or they cannot complete projects on time because of lack of bandwidth. So we realize building a hub for them where they can collaborate with each other will increase their earning potential. So we built Feed Coyote as a response to that, so that freelancers can have that space specifically dedicated to them to learn from each other, collaborate on projects so that they can make more money together. But we don't just stop at the network aspect of it. We built an entire productivity tool on top of that, so that freelancers can have that centralized place where they can manage their gigs as well, from sending contracts, centralized communication, all the way to payment processing, all in one place.
Man, and when I first heard about this platform, and I was like, man, this is such a great idea because I've tried to source, workers from Upwork and Fiverr and all of the other platforms. And when it comes time to either trying to build a team or trying to execute on a contract that you may have and trying to build a team from one of those sources, it's really hard to do. And I
Yeah,
mean, I think like you said, that productivity tool that allows you to stay on track because a lot of those freelancers, that
yeah,
is the big problem is they're
yeah.
never on time. So,
Yes. Yeah,
man,
no, definitely. We want to make it as easy as possible for freelancers to really just focus on doing their job, and which is providing great content, great products to their clients. So we take basically the back office issues off of their plates, so to make it easier for them. So FeedCoyote is that centralized hub where not only you network with fellow freelancers, but also you have an entire productivity tool to help you manage your gig more efficiently.
so Stevens, can you walk me through a little bit like of how you see your like ideal customer using your product? So, I'm a freelancer. I've gotten a contract to develop said software or platform. Now, how would that work on the Feed Coyote?
Yeah, unlike traditional marketplaces for freelancers, Feed Coyote focuses primarily on the community aspect of it. You come to Feed Coyote, you'll find trusted collaborators that you can network with, you can talk to, and also you can build your team based on specific skill sets. As you mentioned, as a software developer, you could probably build the front end or the back end of the product, but you don't have the skill set for SEO or content marketing and stuff like that. So on Feed Coyote, you can build a team for this short-term project with different skill sets so that you can have everybody working on the project for you or with you, which is going to allow you to not only complete this project faster, but eventually you can build agencies of multiple teams working on multiple projects at the same time for you, which eventually will increase the earning potential of everybody on those teams. So that's the idea that we are really working on right now, is providing that resource hub for freelancers now, that as a software developer, you don't have to be afraid anymore to take a full package of a gig because you don't have a specific skill set, because now you can build a team with people that can complement those skill sets for you. So eventually it's allowing you to build your agencies, your businesses on the FeedCoyote platform to make more money together.
It gives you the ability to scale, basically. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, at some point, like you'll just become kind of like an agency owner where you just sit back and just have multiple teams working on multiple projects for you, and you're making more money.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the process behind that, and I mean, obviously, through the last year and a half, we've seen massive scale with that. But before we get into the scale piece, right? I really want to
Mhm.
go back and really hear about some of the early on challenges you had with Feed Coyote. Yeah, I mean, around fundraising, and really what ultimately brought you from Seattle to Paducah, Kentucky, and now with Kentucky. Like, walk us through that journey of making that leap of faith from Seattle to Paducah.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. Feed Coyote is something that early on that I believed so much then that I invested my own savings, basically everything that I got into Feed Coyote, which is sometimes not recommended, but I believed so much in it that I needed that initial capital to get it off the ground. And that initial capital came from me, basically. I did not know how it was going to work. I did not know where we were going to go, but I knew I needed to get it out there. So I used my initial capital to launch the company, but man, the early days were brutal. Like it was crazy. Some days we would not even have any users at all. And the very first batch of users that came to the platform was me reaching out to people, getting on calls with them, explaining what we were trying to do, really to get a few folks to sign up. A lot of folks didn't respond to my messages that I would send them, whether it's email or from other platforms. But the few that would get on the calls with me was really beneficial because I learned so much of how to shape the product based on their own problems, because it's one thing to experience a problem yourself, but understand how other users potentially for your platform would experience that gives you different perspectives on how to build a platform. But the good thing with FeedCoyote is because everybody on our team basically is a freelancer or worked as a freelancer before, so we build a platform from a user perspective. But it was still tough, so we had to iterate really quickly, pivoted a few times so that we can really find that product market fit. But once we started getting a few users in there, we started gathering feedback and understand how to really shape the product. So we started really seeing that traction that we were looking for. But it took us around 4 months to get 100 users. But it was a good time for us to really understand what we were building and how to build it. But from there, really, we started working with those people within the platform to build that platform that we wanted to see. And then I started looking for investment. That part was extremely hard, as you can imagine, because the market itself is tough, but also for Black founders, it's extremely difficult to raise funding, at least VC funding. So I don't even know how many rejections I have at this point. I stopped counting, whether it's direct no's or whether it's being ghosted, whether it's prejudice or whatever kind of situation it was. But it's something that I was so determined to do that I invested my own savings, so nothing was going to stop me. So thankfully, funny enough, every time we got rejections, every time we couldn't find an opportunity, something else would open up. So I would say it's God basically really shaping the path for Feed Coyote. But the way that we got to Kentucky is I was on the internet looking for funding, applying for everything that I can find, and I came across a competition at that time in Kentucky. The competition was considering two states, Missouri and Kentucky. And I didn't really know about those cities, which was Cape Girardeau and Paducah at the time. But hey, I got on a plane because I was accepted into the finals, and I decided, hey, let me check it out. And I came down here, and it was a few companies competing for the grant at that time, and luckily, FeedCoyote was one of the chosen ones. And I decided to move, and I moved from Seattle to Paducah at that time because FeedCoyote was placed in Paducah as a result of winning the competition. And a few months into it, I realized that we were really onto something big here, and I needed to really focus on that growth of Feed Coyote. So I made the decision to quit my job at Microsoft. So it was very difficult because Microsoft is an amazing company. I had a really cool gig. I worked with a lot of amazing people, but I realized it was the time for me to really see it through. So I quit. It's about to be a year now, but since then, I'm glad that I took that leap of faith, because since then we were able to basically explode. So from winning competitions in Kentucky, from building the brand and really expanding the platform globally, we are in over 130 countries now. We just passed 20,000 plus users. So it's just amazing. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Oh man, that's you said the 20,000 user number right there. I know I
Yeah.
just saw the post that said we
Yeah.
were going on our way to 10,000 this month. So
Yes, yes, which was crazy because it took us 4 months to get 100, 7 months to get 1,000, a year to get 10,000, and this month we doubled it. We got another 10,000 in 1 month. So that just shows the exponential growth there, which is just insane.
That's crazy, bro.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, congratulations. As we get into that piece right there, because I think you can almost run a master class and some of what you're seeing on the growth side. But I just want
Mhm.
to like double tap on a couple of things you early on, like just a couple of takeaways you talking about, like just really that uh, detail to listen to your customer, hopping on calls, taking the
Yeah,
feedback, iterating quickly, and being willing to be wrong and really understanding what your customer wanted. And then from there, really like you talk about a leap of faith. I feel like a leap of faith to leave Microsoft. I felt along the
yeah.
way you took a lot of leaps of faith, right?
Oh
Like you said,
gosh.
the continue to push through the closed doors, the continue to push through the no's, and to get up and move from like your base in Seattle to Paducah. Like
Yeah,
I don't know many founders from Louisville who've been to Paducah or moved to Paducah, right? So you talk
yeah,
about moving across the country, like a huge
yeah,
leap of faith there. I think it just speaks to the testament of some of the key attributes I hear from founders, like doing whatever it takes to grow the company, invest in their own personal capital, but really not being denied and really having that delusional vision. So big ups to you. I just want to make sure I just covered those takeaways because I think any entrepreneur aspiring entrepreneurs got to hear some of these takeaways. But I think when you're talking about fundraising is one thing, right? But
hmm,
I think the biggest thing, like building product is another, right? But then ultimately, how do you grow the user growth, right? And so for
yeah,
me, one of the things I was excited to talk to you about is you talking about it. It took you this many months ago for 100 users, and
yeah,
then this many months for 1,000 users. Now you're talking about doubling the amount of users you had last year in 1 month.
yeah.
Walk us through that growth process. What were some of the key things you learned along the way, and what is really working now to allow you to grow this fast in 1 month?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, initially we always wanted to build a platform that is very easy to use. I think that's one of the keys here with FeedCoyote's growth because I've tried a lot of platforms, and a lot of them really it was very difficult to use. So this is a decision that we made very early on. We're going to build a platform that is very, very simple to use. So removing the hustle from users to understand the platform, where to go, what to do. So if you could make it as simple as possible, so it's easier to retain customers and it's easier to convert them from whatever model that you're using, whether it's freemium to premium or whatever. So we built a platform, or we did our very best to build it as simple as possible. And from there, we ask a lot of questions to the people that are using the platform so that we can understand, because it's one thing to build a platform, as you mentioned, as a founder, because that's your vision, but how people are going to receive it, that's something else, right? You can build the best product but nobody's using it, or to you that's the best product but it's not how the customers are receiving it. So we made sure that we ask a lot of questions from the users so that we can understand what's working, what's not working. So right now we are in the third version of Feed Coyote, and it's basically based on user feedback. I remember now when I look at what we currently have and I think about the first version, I'm like, Jesus, I can't believe people were using this thing back then. Because it was something else. So I'm like, well, I'm glad to see the growth here. So really, so because people were using the platform and we are getting good feedback, so we decided to grow the platform from a product-led growth strategy. So what that means is we use the product, we use the users that are using the product as basically our first marketing department. So the people using the products are the people driving the growth of Feed Coyote. So we use incentives within the platform. We either give you, premium features if you do this task and stuff like that. So we've seen people talk about how they're using FeedCoyote on social media, and because they are making money from the platform, so they're inviting their own audience to join the platform, and that's where we've seen the growth. So if you check LinkedIn, Twitter, or any other social media platforms nowadays, you search hashtag FeedCoyote, you will see basically the testimonies from users, and all those users they have their own audiences, their own network, and they are basically inviting them to join FeedCoyote. And I think that's something that's also showing the characters of freelancers, because not only they found something that's working for them, but they're willing to invite other freelancers to
Mhm.
also take advantage of it. So I think because of that strategy, people talking about Feed Coyote for Feed Coyote. Basically, it's what's driving the growth. So I don't think we are doing anything really crazy. It's just we build a platform that is easy to use and that brings value to users, and those users get more benefits as they use it more, and then they invite other people to join.
And it seems like that word of mouth kind of is
Yeah,
what keeps that thing growing. And I think that
yes.
that's one of the big things. I mean, whether you're selling a digital product or a, a physical product, or if that's in person or online, word of mouth is the key to, driving that trust that really gets people to really buy into that brand. So I think
Mhm.
that's one of the big things. Could you go back and double tap on some of those incentives that you put out there for some of those users, because I think that's a big key. And how did you figure out what to bring into the premium model versus the freemium model? Because I think that that's another thing that
Yes.
kind of hangs up some.
Yeah, we use a product map to see what are some of the features that people are using, which ones are stickier than others, and then we double down on those features and we provide benefits if you use those features, and then you invite other folks to use those features because you can have a lot of features, but some of them are working, some of them are not working. So as a founder, you need to be able to identify very quickly what's working and how to make it better. And if something is not working, just cut it. So we had to remove a lot of features from FeedCoyote, and we added a lot of new ones based on feedback or based on what users would love to see. And the features that are really primarily working right now are the features that we give benefits to. Like if you use more of this, you get premium and whatever, and you invite other folks. As you invite other folks, you get more premium of those features. So I think that's the strategy that's working, and it's basically growth marketing organically. And I'm glad that we're able to do that organically because that shows that users are finding value in the platform once they use it. So being able to grow organically, I think, is the best growth you can ask for because it's basically the platform talking for itself.
100%. We all want that organic growth, and it's really amazing to see that happening. Like seeing the growth you're having this month, what do you foresee the growth to be like this year, and how you continue to keep the momentum going in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, this year we had a number in mind to reach by the end of December, but because how fast we are moving, so personally, I want to double that number. So I'm being optimistic. I think we can get there, but because we kind of got a lot of that number that we expected for the whole year in just 1 month, so now I want to
Yeah.
double it and see if we can push forward and if we can reach that. But I mean, we're not gonna stay there because I mean, there are 1.5 billion freelancers globally, so the market is very huge. So it's our goal that in the next few years, FeedCardy will have millions and millions of users on it. But we do know that we have to start somewhere. But right now we're at 20,000, pretty soon 100,000, and after that 1 million. So we're just growing, and we're not going to stop anytime soon.
Keep pushing. I want to hear a clip, a sound bite when you hit those numbers, hit those
I
goals this
know,
year.
very excited about
We're
that.
rooting for you. We want to see all that.
Yeah, man, we might have to be
Before we
doing a monthly update. Stevens monthly average users.
Yeah,
Yes, I mean,
we're your accountability advisors. We're gonna be your board, just making sure
Yeah.
this push in the right
appreciate
direction.
that. Yeah, that's going to
Because I
inspire me
know,
more, like to reach that
because I know
number.
when that happens, what's gonna happen. Like you talk about all those early stage challenges on fundraising. As you
Yeah,
start building and focus on the product and the growth, money's gonna start, coming to you, and you
I hope
won't have
so.
to find it, right? And so we're gonna manifest that. That's gonna happen. So I'm sure of that. One thing I want to talk about a little bit. I mean, you're talking about just traveling and moving professionally. I just kind of want to dive into a lot of your travels for the company last year. I know you're part of
Mhm.
Techstars, and it took you to Asia and other places. Walk us through a little bit. Just how has your Techstars experience been, and how has it been to really travel internationally with your company? Also having a big user base that's so diverse as well.
Mhm.
Having that global mindset in business. How has Techstars helped you in that journey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud to say that FeedCoyote is a Techstars company because it's a validation in itself. Because getting into Techstars as a founder or as a tech company is extremely hard. Based on statistics, it's harder to get into Techstars than to get into Harvard University. Because of the pool of applicants and all that, and they only accept 1% of entrepreneurs globally. So I'm very proud of that. But the experience itself was amazing. Of course, I got to travel. I went to Asia, Thailand last year. It was just amazing. It was my very first time in Asia. I really enjoyed it. But also the network of Techstars is just amazing. I was able to connect with other founders, other mentors, and it was just amazing because as a founder, it's really lonely, really, because it's tough. It's tough building a tech startup. Some days you have doubts, some days you just want to give up. But when you have other founders going through the same journey, you kind of draw inspirations from them. So that's what really the network of Techstars brought to me. And also knowing that there is a network there that if I need help in any capacity, they will be there to help me, whether it's an introduction to an investor or it's another founder to ask about a technical question or, a marketing strategy or what business development, whatever it is. But also the investment of Techstars also was very handy in the journey of Feed Coyote because that investment came in at a time where I really needed the money to keep going because although I invested my own savings, but we were running low on fund because as a startup you have to spend a lot to build to build a platform and spend a lot to grow it and all that. So the investment from Techstars came in at a pivotal moment for Feed Coyote. So I'm very happy that we were able to get accepted. And yeah, I traveled so much last year. We went to Thailand, to Vegas, to Austin, attended a lot of business meetings that were very important for Feed Coyote because I was able to expose the brand to different markets within the U.S. and internationally as well. And I would recommend any founder to do Techstars because the value that I got from it is just amazing. And it's once you're part of Techstars, it's for life, right? So I can reach out to anybody in the network anytime during this journey, and they will be willing to help. So I think that's something that I'm grateful for, and that's why I became a mentor of Techstars so that I can help other founders get into the program, help them craft their applications, and also explain my journey and my experience with Techstars to see if they're interested. But it's something that I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, man. I think it's something about, building, that network that you talked about, those other founders and folks that you can talk to when you're struggling. You
Yeah.
need that mental, you need to vent and talk about the problems. Like these investors aren't investing, like what's going on? Like my numbers aren't, where I want them to be. I think that's really, that's huge. And, since you've moved to Kentucky, how have you, I mean, I know, like I said, a Techstars network, but from a Kentucky perspective, how have you felt that network's kind of supported you as you come here and started to grow your company in Kentucky?
No, I think it's been amazing because I was in Seattle before at the time we were just getting started. But when I moved to Kentucky, at this point, I think I kind of tapped into all the resources in Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. Like I was fortunate enough to win basically most of the competitions here, and because of that, that helped us build the brand. And also, people around here have been very helpful and connections or the investment that also we receive along the way. So I think it's been great. I mean, the growth that we've experienced last year in Kentucky, I don't think it would have been possible if I were somewhere else. So I'm very glad that I made the leap of I took that leap to move here last year, and Louisville is just such a great community for founders. It's so many tech companies around here. I'm like, Jesus, some of them you don't even hear about them, but it's so many of them. So as I get to attend meetings and meet new folks, it's just amazing to see how many people are going through the same journey as me. And I'm glad to meet new founders every day, every time that you guys organize meetings now that I'm in town. So I try to go as much as possible. I think that's a great thing that you're doing, bringing speakers, like connecting folks and finding that inspiration that we need as founders to keep going.
And one other thing I want to tap on within that is the international perspective. I think that we're living in a global community now, and so many of our founders usually only think about the United States, or even maybe even more local, than
Yeah.
that, to a region when they're growing their company. Can you speak to a little bit of having that global perspective and thinking about global markets in terms of growing your company?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because I was born in a foreign country, I've always seen and I've studied economics as well. As I've always seen the world like as one, basically, because it's a one giant ball where
Mm.
there are so many opportunities, and if you can connect the dots, you'll have a better probability at succeeding. So that's why early on we made the decision for Feed Coyote to be a global company. So of course we started in the US as a test market when we first launched, but the reason that we really wanted to expand very quickly is because when we were only in the US, we saw so many interests from other countries. People were trying to sign up, they couldn't because we didn't open in those countries yet. So we made the decision to really expand very quickly because, as in tech, you got to move fast, right? So we made that decision, and now we are in 130 countries. It's just amazing to see different people from different background, but on the same journey, trying to network, trying to collaborate, and earn more within their field of expertise. So I'm glad that we made that decision, and our goal is to be in every country possible. So we are growing. Hopefully, we will meet those criteria to enter new markets and stuff like that. But I think because Feed Coyote is a global company, that's why we're able to move so fast.
I know I'm kind of hogging, but one more question, bro. I'm launching international software. I'm looking to do kind of a similar platform. Have you ran into any barriers as far as launching your company internationally with U.S. Like laws or anything like that? Have you had
Um,
any barriers?
I mean, our platform is a web app, but primarily on a mobile app. And because we build it on platforms that already have their own regulations and already have their own structure, it was kind of easy for us to launch internationally. Like, for example, we have our app on Android and on iOS. So Apple and Google already have the structure that you need to enter new markets internationally. So because of that, it was much easier because that's already taken care of by those companies.
Yeah, man, and 130 company countries is something to be said, and really, I think that travel, throughout your career also is helping you become a wiser founder a lot quicker, and seeing different markets, seeing different customer profiles, and really learning from your experience of just getting out of your comfort zone. As we come to a close, I guess what are some lessons maybe you've learned over the last few years that you wish you would have learned earlier in your journey as a founder?
Funny enough, uh, I think my education in business, I would say, it was very theoretical, right? And what I'm doing right now is very practical. There is so much that I learned is because I was doing it myself, and I learned it by doing it. I didn't learn it in school, which is funny because I have a doctorate, but a lot of the things that I'm doing in startup, I didn't learn it in school. So I would say maybe for the future generation, the way that we teach students or we teach our kids would probably need to be more practical. Because I mean, yeah, you can take an entrepreneurship course in college, but if you don't do it, so you won't really know what you're talking about, right? So we need more practitioners now so that we can transfer that knowledge because it's so much easier to do something that you know how to do. So like I learned so much during this process over the last few years that I didn't learn in school with a doctorate in business. But now I know, how to start a company, where to register it, how to talk to a lawyer about a startup, how to talk to investors. These are things that I didn't really learn in college. So I wish that I had learned that. Maybe I would have moved faster. But I think doing it also, it was a good education for me. So that's why I became a mentor for Techstars so that I can help other founders that probably didn't have that kind of exposure to help them move faster so that the mistake that I've made, they don't have to make it. But yeah, I just wish I had more knowledge, and I just wish I knew how to make this thing get to a unicorn status already. But I know it's a process, it's a journey. So eventually we'll get there. And if we get there, then hopefully I can help other founders shorten their time to get there as well. But I'm loving every step of the way. I just hope I won't have to spend too much money to learn to make too many mistakes. But I guess that's part of the journey.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think that accelerating school is one thing, but actually going through and practicing, and I think like getting kids to start businesses earlier helps them kind of get that experience, and they learn sooner than and I think that's just the thing that's said for serial entrepreneurs, and you're always more successful on your second or third startup is like, yeah, I went through, I got my master's, I paid for it too. Now I'm going to come back. I'm a doctor now in startup, and I can, kind of run that startup and make, create that unicorn business that we
Yeah.
all want. But yeah.
No, no. I love startups. I work in corporate America before at Microsoft, and I did like two startups now. The things that I've learned by doing the startups are just like crazy. So I love startup. I love the journey. I love what you learn, but it's extremely hard. But I guess it's part of the process. But really, I think any entrepreneur really should probably trying to start a project, trying to start a business, because even if you fail, the things that you learn is just incredible, so and the part is you just got to keep trying. Eventually you'll get there. It's just me. I do it for the learning opportunities. Hopefully we'll get to the top, but I primarily do it because I would like to learn more about certain things in business.
Man, that's really good. As I'm curious, are there any books or mentors that's had a profound impact on your journey as an entrepreneur?
I really like Brian Chesky. He's the founder and CEO of Airbnb. It's just amazing. I watch a lot of videos of his talks and everything. So I learned so much from him about how to be a great creator, because he's a designer by training, but his thought process is just amazing. So the way that he was able to build Airbnb over the last 15 years, and even redesigning Airbnb during the pandemic in 2020, because everybody stayed at home, so Airbnb was going down. So he was able to reinvent Airbnb 4 years ago. It's just amazing. And also he's a very relatable founder. He's a billionaire, but when he talks, it's like he's human. He's like, you can see the emotion and all that. So I'm very inspired by his journey. So hopefully we could replicate what he did and build a unicorn company as well. But he's somebody that really inspires me.
And you
Yeah,
forgot to mention Henry Arthur Callis.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I didn't really get into the Frats brothers, but yeah. Yeah.
and then lastly, I guess, Stevens, you know, over maybe the next 2 or 3 years, I think you mentioned some of your long-term goals of being, a unicorn company. But what does that look like for you? Like, what is your vision over the next couple years, and the long-term vision of Feed Coyote? And how can maybe this community or anyone in this region help you achieve those goals?
Yeah, I mean, we want Feed Coyote to be a community of millions and millions of independent workers. We want them to come to Feed Coyote because it's a place where they can learn, they can network, and also they can manage their businesses and make more money. But also, by doing that, we're creating value for people. It's economic development, right? And whatever region you are in the world, Feed Coyote is a source of income for you. It's a source of learning for you. So that's our vision. Regardless of how we get there or how we define our strategies, but eventually our goal is to connect freelancers, to transform the freelance landscape into a more vibrant and interconnected ecosystem, so that freelancers or other independent workers don't have to work in silos or miss out on opportunities because they didn't have that support system that they needed. So Feed Coyote will be the point of reference for any independent workers to come to really find that inspiration that they need to become the best version of themselves or to take their business to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way that the workforce is moving, is into more freelance, more 1099 contract type of work. So I think that, man, you're catching this wave, not only in the US, but from a global perspective, as, the internet spreads, more
Yeah.
folks have those skills. And that's, what's allowing, folks to work internationally and build these teams the way that your platform, enables them to do. So, man, I'm
Mhm.
excited, for to see the growth. And like I said, I think that the platform is exactly what's needed for freelancers to be able to scale and grow their businesses.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is our vision. Hopefully, we'll get there eventually, but we are on this journey now, and I'm very excited for this community in Louisville and Kentucky that is supporting us, that's giving us the resources that we need. So eventually, let's see if we can get a unicorn coming out of Kentucky.
Let's make
Hey,
it
keep making
happen.
moves, baby.
Keep
Yeah.
making moves. Thank you, Stevens, for your time. We're excited for your journey and what all the things you're doing in this community. Let Rick and I know if you need anything, and we're rooting you on, and keep up the great work. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that you invited me today, and I was able to. share a little bit about what we are doing at Feed Coyote and the ecosystem here.
All right, cool. Until next time. Peace.
Until next time.